Holy moly. Holy moly. Holy freaking moly. 1 second. I shall return. Just like, just give me a moment to like gather my thoughts after what I just saw. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly and see me clearly and that there's no background noise. God. So like basically there was, as some of you may know, it was announced that there'd be like a Dune trailer showing with some extra footage. We didn't really know what it was gonna be, but like I got the tickets and I went to go like see it. And what I saw was just freaking phenomenal. So basically I saw about like, I guess about 18 minutes of the movie. And it starts, I'm just going to describe what I saw and how it started off. So it starts off with the narration by Chani, Zendaya as Chani. And she's talking about it. You see the surface of Arrakis and you see the huge sands and the deserts of Arrakis. And you see the Fremen, and it's an voiceover by Chani, the character Chani, played by Zendaya. And she's talking about the relationship between the Harkonnens and the Fremen, and how the Harkonnens have been there and they've been, killing Fremen and just brutalizing their people for like a really long time before she was even born. And it's just so beautifully shot. You see like the Fremen spice harvesters that look like these weird octopus things. I'm telling you, these things look like nothing that I've ever seen before. And it's huge. They're just huge. And so it starts off with this crazy, like epic battle. It's quick, but it's epic. It's like it's a flash of what's to come, I'm sure, of the Harkonnen soldiers against the Fremen, and they're fighting, and the Fremen are trying to stop them from getting the spice, and it's just like freaking crazy. And it's all voiced over by Chani. And so eventually you see like the Harkonnens leave Arrakis, and you see the planet, and you see the Harkonnen ships, and they're leaving. But what was curious about it is that like there's mystery. The Fremen don't know why the Harkonnen have left, so it's just like, oh, it's mystery. And then you see the Harkonnens leaving. You see a huge guild highliner. Like the vibe of it is so epic and so big. It's like I don't even know how to describe it. And it's an IMAX. It's an IMAX. So like you see a guild highliner and all these ships. Just looks so cool. And so the next thing we see after that, it goes to Caladan, and you see Paul Atreides, and he's in his bed and he's dreaming of Chani. He can like see her, and he doesn't really know what to make of it. And so it's different from the book. It doesn't open the same way as the book, obviously. So like Paul wakes up that morning and he goes and he sits with his mother, Jessica. And what was really cool is because right from the beginning, they're developing the relationship between Paul and Jessica. So you see Paul and Jessica. Paul's just woken up. He's having some breakfast. And Jessica's like, you need to train. She's like, try the voice on me. And so Paul tries to do the voice on Jessica. And the effect that they used for it was just like, how do I describe the effect for the voice? It was like, he said, pass me the water, but it like went silent. And it like went silent. And then it was like, his voice like weirdly echoed and twisted in her head, and it was like, pass the drink, pass the water. It was like so weird and cool, and he almost made her do it, but of course Jessica's too trained, and she's like, maybe next time. He almost got his mother with the voice. But what was so cool about the scene, what stood out to me, is that the voice did not seem like magic. I don't know how Denis Villeneuve pulled it off. I don't know how they accomplished it, but it didn't feel like magic. It felt like, I don't even know how to describe it, something else. It did not feel like it was a magical ability. It felt like something else. And that was like something incredibly difficult to get across. And so later in the movie, you see Paul. He's like researching Arrakis, just like in the book. He's like researching Arrakis. He's like looking it up. There's like this projected screen on this wall, and it's got Planet Arrakis, and he's learning about the winds, just like it is in the book. And then we have, if I remember correctly, Duncan Idaho appears to be coming from Arrakis, and he greets up with Paul. Or maybe that was in an after part. I know definitely right after Paul is like looking up Arrakis. Then it cuts to a scene. You have all House Atreides. They're all lined up. You got Duke Atreides. Oh my God. Oscar Isaac was looking good. Oscar Isaac was looking absolutely fantastic as Duke Atreides. He is the Duke. I will only ever see him as the Duke from this point forward. The costumes are so good. Paul was there dressed in his black. You got Thufir Hawat, and let me tell you, they did this cool animation. Like so we see a part where like Thufir does this Mintak calculation, and his eyes go like totally white for a second, and he just like, and you can just tell that it's happening so quickly. He's just doing a calculation. His mind's super, super quick, and it's cool. So like the whole family's there. You got Lady Jessica. They're all out there, and they're waiting on this big, giant, weird-looking ship that's like landing right there, and it is huge. There's like a huge ship that's landing, and it's like coming down, and then it comes, and like it opens up this like what is it called when the plane comes down, like the little thing that comes off of it, the staircase, and it opens, and it's like super steep, and it's going like all the way to the ground. Like I don't even know how many feet down to the ground, but it is huge. It is huge. I have to emphasize the scale of it. It's giant. And so it's coming down, and House Atreides they're like on this platform thing, looking super sharp. And so this is the Emperor's envoy. And so I'm doing a little bit of guesswork here, but it looked like the guild had just got there, and it looked like there were guild navigators, proto guild navigators on either side walking down, and they had on these like helmet things where you really couldn't see their face, and it was cloudy and it was orange. So I imagine they were like proto guild navigators in the suits, like in the Brian Herbert books, like the proto guild navigators. So they're walking down on side. You can see a Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother. That wasn't Gaius Helen Mohayim. There's some Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother that's there as well. And some, I think, what I assume were Sardaukar soldiers. And you see this well-dressed black guy walk down, and he's the Emperor's envoy. And he's like, from this point on, House Atreides will rule over the planet Arrakis. And it's like House Atreides already knew this was coming. That's why they're all lined up. Everyone knows this is happening. But this is the official address where House Atreides must. House Atreides it's the official thing, and it's the Emperor's envoy. And it just looked so cool. And so Duke Atreides comes down and he says, "We accept. If the Emperor wishes us to transform Arrakis and make it better, then we will." And so the Duke comes down, and they show the ducal ring, and he presses his finger into the thing, into the seal, and he signs it, and it's so cool. It's so a little bit more tidbits throughout this whole thing. They're showing all these like little things from the books. There's like a painting of Duke Leto's father, and there's like a little statue of when he got killed by the bull that's in the house somewhere. What else? Like the ducal ring, as I said, and also the Bene Gesserit sister when she comes down. There are definitely some interactions, very subtle. Subtlety is the name of the game, and Denis Villeneuve is doing it well. So there's a Reverend Mother that comes down, and you can see that Jessica notices her, and you can see that she notices Jessica, and you can see that she notices Paul, and you know from if you've read the books that there is an exchange of information that's happening here. There's something going on. So the Bene Gesserit are here lurking as well, and they can see very clearly now that Paul is not a girl as they have commanded. Okay, so that was the beginning part. If I think of anything else about the beginning part that they showed us, then I'll get back to that. But they also showed us like another clip, which was the freaking spice harvester scene. Before I talk about what I saw there, let me get these super chats real quick. Thank you, Henry Winters. Thank you, Lloyd, for your super chat. Someone says the IMAX theater in Nashville lost power just as it was showing was about to start. Oh no, that's so sad. I'm so sorry that happened. Okay. So they did let me calm down. I'm so excited because like, guys, this is now Dune. David Lynch's Dune will never be thought of as Dune again. The miniseries never existed as far as I'm concerned. This movie doesn't look like Star Wars. It doesn't look like Star Trek. It doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before. The design and just the scale and the epicness of it and the look of everything is just so different. It's completely different energy. I know that I'm going to have some kind of spiritual experience when I see this movie for the first time. I know it. I know it because it's just like immediately in the first 10 minutes that we saw, they set up the relationship between the Fremen and the Harkonnens. They set up that the Harkonnens have been there before Chani was born, and they've been harvesting the spice and treating the Fremen really badly. And we established the fact that the Fremen are oppressed. We established the fact that the Fremen are really, really good fighters, all just in like a little section. We established the fact that Arrakis is called Dune, and that's where the spice is. We established the fact that the fucking Spacing Guild exists. We see the Spacing Guild ships. We see the Harkonnen ships in the air. We established the fact that House Atreides has been on Caladan for a really long time. We established who House Atreides is. There's character development even in the first 10 minutes. Oh my God. Like, this is like, it's so good. It's so good. And I haven't even talked about the Spice Harvester scene yet. Okay. TARDIS Girl says, "Hi, Quinn. I'm so excited, and I'm glad you're excited. I am so excited. After seeing the first 10 minutes, I am so excited." Someone says, "I have waited over 30 years to see this done and done to what it deserves. I am prepping to cry in the theater." I think there's going to be some moments. All right. So after that, after the scene with House Atreides and after the Duke Leto presses his ring into the thing, then it didn't show us anymore directly after that. Then they cut us to the Spice Harvester scene. And like I said again, like David Lynch's Dune just will never stand a chance again, ever. Because this was one of the most epic scenes that I've ever seen. So the ornithopters move like dragonflies. And so the scene opens, it's very much like the book. You see Liet Kynes there. And by the way, Sharon Duncan Brewster does a fantastic job as Liet Kynes. Her presence on screen is fantastic. And like also the blue within blue eyes on the Fremen look great. They're blue within blue. They're true blue within blue. Most book accurate that we've ever seen in any Dune adaptation. So Sharon Duncan Brewster is there as Liet Kynes. We've got Gurney Halleck there, Josh Brolin. We've got Paul Atreides. We've got the Duke. And it's just like in the book, they're flying over to like view like the spice harvesting. And then Leto, just like in the book, spots the worm sign. And it's this huge worm. So when they're trying to get the spice, instead of like it being like a Harkonnen sabotage like it is in the book, I think, it's like the spice, like it just doesn't work. They can't lift it for some reason. And so like in the book, Leto says we have to go save these men. And so like the ornithopter, like all the wings on it go like straight, and it just dives straight to the ground. And it's just like so grand and it's so big and crazy. And they're there and they get out. Everyone's get out. He says 7 men on all 3 of the ships. 7 men get on all 3 of them. But then Paul gets out. In the moment that he steps onto the sands of Arrakis. This is his first time stepping onto the sands of Arrakis and smelling the true spice essence. It's slightly different from the book. So like he starts to become awakened by the spice, and his visions he starts to hear voices, and he's becoming awakened by the spice. Just simply by stepping on Arrakis and being there and being that close to like a spice harvest. So basically Paul is like transfixed by the spice, and he's like just going closer and closer to it, and Gurney has to come and save him and pull him out. But like I just need to describe to you guys how it feels when the worm is coming. The desert itself is huge, and when this enormous worm comes to the desert, it's like the entire ground is opening up and shaking. It is terrifying. It is huge. It is epic. And in this scene, it doesn't show you the full worm. Obviously, it's just like a teaser. Just like in the book, you see like the worm swallow the crawler and go back in. But just the mere presence of the thing approaching, it's like when we see like an actual giant worm in the desert for the first time in this movie, it's going to be terrifying, because the mere thing approaching is horrifying. It felt like the sound design too. The sound design is brilliant. Like it's like it just worked so well. It just built the intensity, and it's just like, wow. Oh my God. All right, let me get these super chats real quick before they disappear. Oh my God. And if anybody has any questions about anything particular and I can come up with an answer to it, then I will. Okay, so, and we also saw something else too. We also saw like a trailer that gave even more information in detail. So I'll get into that in just a second, what was in the trailer. So Defiantly, will it be worth the wait? I take it. So it's definitely going to be worth the wait. I take it 100%. This is so worth the wait. I waited in line for like 2 hours. So yeah, it was worth the wait for just like what I saw now. Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your super sticker. Okay, preview was amazing. The scale, the thopters, even the little things like Thufir's eyes turning white and and a look at the Gillsman. I can't wait. Yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool. All right, so what do I talk about in the trailer? Definitely from the trailer, it's clear that Duncan Idaho's relationship to Paul Atreides is much more part of the thing. And also, just a little thing about what I saw in the trailer too. Both Paul and Jessica's eyes at some point in the trailer were blue within blue. They had the eyes of a bod. So if you know what that means, then you know what that means. It means that they spend months, years on Arrakis before this movie ends. This movie spans years on Arrakis. If I'm seeing it, unless it's, okay, the exception could be that it's a vision that Paul's having. But we see both Paul and Jessica's eyes blue within blue. And also Jessica has a bunch of like markings on her face at one point in the trailer. And the Baron, we see him like in this weird floating robe and he's floating up and he says, Arrakis is mine, kill them all. And guys, we see a lot more, and the trailer's coming out tomorrow, I think. We see a lot more of the action moments in this trailer. And what they're huge, and they're using these weird weapons that I don't really like know what they are. They're like these bombs that go up into the sky and then kind of separate. And the Fremen actually launched some of these on the Sardaukar, not the Sardaukar, but the Harkonnen soldiers in the beginning, and like they freaking disintegrate. And I'm just like, what in the heck is that? We got to see just like more and more about like just new looks at everything, and it's just like super freaking cool. This trailer, more so than the other one, is much more like focused on like, I think, the action moments, and it definitely gives you some more like definitely visually interesting things. We don't know who's playing Fade. There was no information on Fade Ratha. There's no information on Fade Ratha whatsoever. But Hans Zimmer, actually, this was a cool bit because there was like interviews with Denis Villeneuve and Hans Zimmer as well. Hans Zimmer says that this is the one project that he always wanted to make, the same way Denis Villeneuve always wanted to make this movie. For the sound design of this movie, for the music, Hans Zimmer created new instruments. He designed new instruments. The Harkonnen sound design is like nothing I have ever heard. It's like nothing. It's like this weird blam, 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 blam. It's like it's terrifying. It's so sinister. It's sinister to the core. Absolutely Hans Zimmer showed out. Absolutely Hans Zimmer showed out. Let's see, any more questions? Like get my brain going. Give me some questions, guys. Throw some questions at me. I'm just racking my brain because it's like I feel like I saw so much. Ryan Gosling to play Fade. I don't think so. No, there's nothing about this sound and the music in this movie that's typical. It is definitely different. We didn't see anything with the Balisette. How was the dialogue? The dialogue, from what I saw, was pretty good. We didn't actually see much dialogue in the preview that I got. And the dialogue that was in the Thopter scene was exactly like the book. The dialogue in the Thopter scene was basically straight out of the book, essentially. The beginning was definitely started off differently. It did not start off with the Reverend Mother coming on Caladan to see Paul. It started off with, like I said, Paul asleep in bed, which is kind of similar, but then he goes to have a conversation with his mother, Jessica, and she like tests his power of voice. And they're like showing you around like where they're living too, and showing you like all the, like so many things that indicate like that they've lived here for a long period of time. Like I said, this movie did so much in the first 10 minutes. How did the Bene Gesserit look? Okay, the one Bene Gesserit witch that we did see other than Jessica was like wearing like this black veil that had kind of like we saw with Guy's Helen Mohayim in it. And she was old and she's had a black veil and she was just very just like examining everything, but just super subtle about everything. Like I said, the interaction between, like, I lived for the interaction. It wasn't even, I can't even call it an interaction. They actually do show a little bit of the weirding way in the trailer, Chris Wilson. They actually do show a little bit of Jessica. There's a scene in the trailer where Duke Leto says, "Promise me you'll protect Paul." And then Jessica goes, "With my life." And they show like her doing the weirding way on Stilgar. But I forgot where I just was, but yeah, I'm gonna keep going anyway. How was the cinematography? Incredible. Incredible. I don't even like everything about this movie, the cinematography and the CGI, I just added to the scale of it. Add it to the scale of it. How much better than David Lynch's Dune? This movie is infinitely better than David Lynch's Dune. I mean, I don't feel like anyone's gonna ever watch David Lynch's Dune ever again. Henry Winter says, can you wait? No, someone said something about their super chat. I'm so sorry. Can you go back to my super chat? Says Andrew Martin. Let me see. Did I miss your super chat? Can you retype it? I don't have any mods present right now. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm doing my best. Someone mentioned the pacing. How does the pacing feel? Okay. I think the pacing is excellent. I think Denis Villeneuve, like I said, in that 10 minutes, he did such a good job of just like bringing the universe to life. In that 10 minutes, like I said, you understand the Fremen and the fact that they've been on Arrakis for many, many, many generations. You understand that the fact that the Harkonnens are brutal and cruel and just not nice guys to be around. You understand that the Fremen are being persecuted. You understand that they're great fighters and that they fight back. You understand, I don't know if you understand the Spacing Guild, but you know that the Spacing Guild exists. You know that the Emperor exists. You understand that House Atreides has lived on Caladan for many, many generations. You understand, you get like little clues at the Mentat, like you see like a Mentat calculation. The Bene Gesserit are mentioned multiple times, and you see a Reverend Mother Bene Gesserit, and you see Leto, you see Jessica, who's a Bene Gesserit. I mean, it's just like, there's so much information being put forth, but it does not feel overwhelming in the slightest. Do we meet or see Pieter de Vries? Not yet, unfortunately. Not in the little bit that I saw. We did not get Pieter de Vries. Someone mentioned the page. Someone already got that. I can't go back too far to look at the... Okay, also a tidbit about this is that it definitely says when the movie opens, it says Dune Part 1, right? So they're like, definitely like official, like they're definitely like letting you know it's Dune Part 1. So it's like they're counting on making the second one. And honestly, it's gonna be like tragic if like this movie doesn't get a second one. Someone says, were the scenes well acted? Everyone fell into the role. Immediately you're on Arrakis. And then after that, immediately you're on Caladan. There was never a second, there was never a question in my mind that Zendaya was Chani. There was never a question in my mind that Paul Atreides was, that Timothée was Paul Atreides, or that Rebecca Ferguson was Jessica. I think out of the little bit that I saw, the two that I was most impressed with acting-wise were Zendaya and the Duke Leto. And Oscar Isaac just fell into the role, just like masterfully fell into the role. He's Duke Leto. Okay, Andrew Martin, did you see it at the Metreon? I want nothing more than treat you and my friends to opening night. I did see it at the Metreon, and it was a lot of fun. And actually, a lot of you guys were there, actually. I saw a lot of people walked up to me, and they said they watched my channel, and I was like, hi. And it was actually really cool. Everyone was super excited. The theater was packed. I got there super early, so I was close in line. But the theater, it filled all the way up. No heart plugs on the Baron, unfortunately. I didn't see anything like that. He was taking a bath in like some weird slime, and he like rises out of it like super slowly. I'll tell you what, though, too. There was a bunch of interviews with like the cast and the people that production behind the movie, like during this, and just hearing everyone. You know, I've seen like plenty of those press things where the cast and crews of movies will like talk about stuff, but with this movie, it really does feel like something different. It really does feel like these people believe in this project and just really, really, really care. And that just gives me so much hope. The look in Denis Villeneuve's eyes when he talks about the movie is enough to just fill me with hope. Someone says, how's the sound of voice? I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll mention it again in case you missed. So like there is a scene earlier, pretty early in the movie, where it's Paul and Jessica, and she's always training him. He's always being trained. So he's just woken up after dreaming about Chani and like having these visions. And she says, try the voice on me. And he's like, oh, I'm tired. I just woke up. And she's like, I don't care. Like, try it on me. And so he's like, pass me the cup. And it doesn't work. And she's like, really try. And then he like really tries. And then like when the effect happens, it's like his voice cuts away totally. And he says like that. But then like the words bend and twist. Like the sound design is really difficult to describe, but it's like, it's weird. It's a weird sound. And like it's like his voice is bending and twisting in her mind and reshaping. But it doesn't work because Jessica is too trained of a Bene Gesserit. And she's like, maybe next time you can get me. But like I mentioned before, the best thing about the scene was that, yeah, it was give me the water. The best thing about the scene was that it did not feel like magic. You see someone using the Force in Star Wars. Oh, like these are not the droids you're looking for, and they wave their hand, and it just feels like magic. This did not feel like magic somehow. And it's like, I don't know how Denis Villeneuve pulled that vibe, but they got that vibe. They got that vibe. And let's talk about Caladan itself. The little bit of it that I saw, it's gorgeous. The thing about it is it doesn't just look like Earth. Like it's a paradise world, but it also doesn't just like look like it's just Earth. It looks foreign. It looks different. It looks like an alien world. But it also looks like a paradise planet for sure. For sure. So in just that little bit of time, just so much epicness. Like I said, Oscar Isaac just fell into the role. The scene where he's receiving the Imperial envoy and it's being announced officially that House Atreides will take the planet Arrakis, take the fiefdom to a planet Arrakis, was just so epic. You got Oscar Isaac shouting. He's like, we will take Arrakis, or we will transform Arrakis. I forget exactly what he says. And then like all the soldiers behind him just start chanting. Everyone just starts chanting like Atreides, Atreides, Atreides. And it's just like, so I almost wanted to start chanting in the theater. So someone says, are Tadia books coming out this year, or should we just forget about it? Tadia books are coming out like as soon as I send the final text into the letters, which will happen like probably tomorrow. Like all the art is finished, it is colored, and it's ready to go. Tadia, of course, is my graphic novel that is in the works. Well, it's finished, but it's coming out pretty freaking soon. And I'm getting ready to actually post an update for you guys on Indiegogo. For those of you guys that are looking forward to that. But anyway, back to Dune. Back to Dune. Oh my God. The Emperor has tasked us with bringing peace to Arrakis. See, other people remember the lines better than I did. Yeah, that's what he says. And they all just chant, Atreides, Atreides. So apparently tomorrow, the full trailer is going to be on YouTube. And that's exciting for everyone. And I, of course, will like look at the trailer again, just try and like break down everything that I see. Because it's like in the trailer, so much like flashed super quick. Someone says, how did I see it? I saw, well, like they were doing this pre-thing where they were like giving away tickets for like certain theaters around the United States and I think other places. And they said it was just the trailer, but then it turned out it was like 18 minutes of the movie or something, as well as a bunch of like extra footage and like cast and crew stuff. Like everything that we saw just looked just so epic and just like what Dune is. Like I said, this is the new look for Dune. This is a new look for science fiction. I think that a lot of people like, in the same way that a lot of stuff like ends up looking like Star Wars, I think that now stuff will end up looking like this version of Dune, and people will say, oh, that just looks like Dune. Because this is Dune now. Like this is Dune. Like David Lynch's Dune was something, and it was what it was. And the sci-fi miniseries didn't have any money really to make anything like super special. But like this is the perfect storm of like masterful looking CGI. That's like the best CGI that I've ever seen in my life. Like if I'm just being honest, and like brilliant cinematography and just like epic directing and just like it's the combination of like that and someone that really, really understood the Dune book and understood the ways that they had to like mix around the story and change it so that it fit together in all the right places. It's someone that respected it enough to like give it this much care and attention and detail and accuracy. And then like on top of that, it's got this amazing sound design. And it's just like everyone just cares so much. And it's just like this is a bar being raised. I feel like I definitely get the sense that this is a bar being raised as far as like sci-fi movies go. Like there's going to be so much stuff that comes out in the next several years that tries to do what this movie is doing and then tries to compete with this. There's going to be so much that tries to compete with this. Oh. Well. Someone says it's great to hear your enthusiasm. I will go to theaters to watch it for sure. I think it's worth the wait. I think because I know like anytime like because certain people in the press would get like secret screenings and people would see the movie and they would say it's so good, and I've just been kind of like I hope it's good. Everything that I have seen indicates that it's good, but I got to see it for myself, and I've got to see it for myself. What I didn't see the whole movie, but what I saw just like gives me full confidence in the movie, and I can't stress enough. It gives me full confidence, and I'm just so happy that this can be made with so much care and a budget, and it's just great. Andrew Rose says, think they bring back Oscar to play Miles Tegg. Miles Tegg is a character in later Dune books, in case you guys don't know, who is an Atreides descendant that is said to look a lot like Duke Leto. If they got to those books, then like that seems like the obvious choice. Was there good music? The music was great, and the music was different. Like I said, Hans Zimmer talked about in one of the interviews that he designed entirely new instruments for this movie, and they showed us like just a little bit of the Harkonnen theme, and it sounds like nothing you've ever heard. It sounds like it's alien and it's twisted and it's sinister, and it's just like, whoa, what is this? So yeah, it's really, really good, really, really good. Someone says, I missed the constant voiceover narration by every character. Said no one. Love the footage. I agree. You don't need like someone explaining, oh, this is Thufir, like David Lynch did. But yeah, like I said, just to go over everything, the movie opens up with Zendaya as Chani narrating. There was a quote right in the beginning. I cannot remember what quote it was. There was some quote right in the beginning. It's like a black screen, and then it cuts to the sands of Arrakis, and it's all blowing. You can hear Zendaya's voice, Chani, talking about how beautiful the planet is. And then right after that, you can see the Harkonnens coming in, and they're like destroying everything, and they're like coming in. And you also see in the trailer at some point like piles and piles of Fremen bodies. So they're really going to show you in this movie like how the Fremen have suffered under Harkonnen rule and just under Imperial rule in general, like being on a planet where like the spice melange is the most valued commodity in the universe. So like really, really the movie is building on that, and it's establishing the Fremen and who they are as a people as like the first thing. The first thing you see in the movie is the Fremen. So like it's yeah. It is interesting that it's Chani and not Irulan. It is interesting. Yeah. We see more in the coming trailer. I don't know what you mean by that, but they show a lot in the trailer. A lot of what we saw in the movie previews was in the trailer as well. So I will say that they definitely showed bits from it. The image that keeps standing out of my head in the movie that I can't stop thinking about is when you have like House Atreides and they're all lined up on their platform, and you just see Jessica and you see Thufir Howard, and he's got like the Mentat like makeup there, and he like does his eye thing where like his eyes go totally white, and he's doing the Mentat calculations, and you see Oscar Isaac looks so good as Duke Leto, and everyone just like looks so good, and it's just like Dune. And then like you see that giant Imperial ship that just looks like no Imperial ship that you've ever seen in any other movie ever, and it just comes down and it opens up, and that like stairway thing comes down, and it's like so steep and so grand and so huge, and they all just walk down together. Like that image is just like in my head, and it's just like it's just masterful. It's just masterful. Like I know I have not seen the whole movie, And I know the score for the trailer was good. Yeah, I will say that. I know I have not seen the whole movie yet, but just like the clips that they showed us, just like I said, just gave me full confidence. And I just feel like this is just going to be groundbreaking in so many ways. Like I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything in the modern era that really is going to compare to this. Not like any of Ridley Scott's attempts in the last few, not Prometheus, not like Prometheus is one thing that I say because like the scale of that movie is like a fraction of what we see in this, but it's not like that. Even Blade Runner doesn't really compare to this movie because Blade Runner is kind of like working in the aesthetic of something that already existed. But this is not an aesthetic that existed before. This is new. Like, and that's so like weird to say. This is new. This is new. Like it's just like, and even the way the action that we saw is happening and being filmed and the cinematography of it and the way it's happening and the way it's unfolding and the way it's taking place is not typical. There's something about it that's just like honestly a little bit more intense. There's something about the way that it's shot that's just honestly a little bit more just like it just gets you in your soul. And maybe that's a combination of the visuals and the sound design of it, but it was just like there was not a person that walked out of this theater that was disappointed. There was not a person that walked out of this theater that was disappointed. Well, I mean, you see Dark Angel, you see the brown aesthetic, but that wasn't all that was in the movie. They show Caladan, and Caladan is pretty like there's some colors, so like it's not all like that. But like there's something about the movie too that it's like it's the aesthetic of it just feels like a peek into the future. How can I make this sound like not like make this make any sense? It doesn't feel like it's like too much of a stretch. It feels like if humans kept going 20,000 years in the future and they all like went on different planets and evolved in different ways, it could look like this. It could look like this. Did they use the term jihad? That wasn't addressed in the parts of the movie that I saw. That wasn't in the parts of the movie that I saw at all. Mr. E. Knight says, from the limited bits you got to see, would non-readers be able to follow so much lingo that you know as a reader, which won't likely be explained? I think they will, just because of the way it's done. It's simple. It's simply laid out. Like they give you one thing and they smoothly give you another thing. Like you see the Fremen and you're like, okay, these people are the Fremen. You see the Harkonnen, you know they're the Harkonnens, and you know their relationship to the Fremen. And then it literally like, so like at some point it gives you like this kind of like montage in the beginning, like a pseudo montage of like the affairs between the Fremen and the Harkonnen kind of, and it's all voiced over by Zendaya as Chani. And then at the end of that, you see, she says, but then one day the Harkonnens left because the Fremen don't know why they left. So you see the Harkonnen ships leaving, and she says something to the effect of, "I wonder who our next oppressors will be." And then as that goes away, it cuts to Caladan. Because like what you have to understand too is that like it's not simply the fact that the Harkonnens are the Harkonnens or the Fremen don't like them. It's the Imperium. The Imperium is collecting spice. So it doesn't matter who's collecting it. They're still exploiting the Fremen, basically. So it's like, I wonder who the next ones will be. And it cuts immediately to Paul dreaming about her. I'm trying to think if there was any other bits that I saw. There's some cool bits between Duncan and Paul, but I don't know if that was in the first 10 minutes or if that was in the trailer bit later. I think I'm getting mixed up. But I know I saw there was a cool scene where Paul was like, the technology too, I will say. It's very similar to how it is in the book, where it's like the technology isn't just like out in the front. You know, it's just kind of like, it's more hidden. It's more hidden, and it comes up when you need it. Like Paul has like this weird kind of projector screen where he's like looking at Arrakis and learning about it. Did you see any of the weapons? Yeah, like the Fremen had these gun things that they were firing. I'm sure they probably like laser guns. I'm sure. They were like those things. And there was also these weird things that they shot up into the sky that looked like fireworks and kind of separated like fireworks. But when they came down, they did immense destruction. Like when they came down, they were just like annihilating the Harkonnen soldiers. Like they were disintegrating. Like you see, like it hits like one guy like almost like straight on, and he just like almost fades into nothing. So it's like, whoa, that was crazy. So that's pretty much what we saw as far as weapons and that part of it. Like I said, the spice harvester scene was very intense as well, where they have to land and save those men, and then Paul is also tripping on the spice for the first time and becoming overwhelmed on the spice. That was so intense, just seeing just like the worm coming, because you see it come and you're just like, oh, it's small, like because it's like so far away, and the closer it gets, it's like, whoa, like the entire like in the theater, it felt like the entire earth was shaking and going to sink in. It felt like everything was just going to sink into the ground. It felt like everything was just going to get swallowed up by the desert. That's how big it is. Just so intense. Okay, another super chat. Will Foreign says, not a Dune fan yet, but thanks for getting me hyped to read these books and to watch these movies. Miss you in the Ice and Fire realm. One day I'll show back up in the Ice and Fire realm. One day. Another person asking, how was the music? Just epic. Like lots of new things being done with the music. Hans Zimmer, like I said, created new instruments for this movie so that it sounded more alien. He definitely threw like kind of a shot at we think I'm blanking on the name, John Williams. He threw a shot at John Williams. He was like, oh, like all these alien worlds, but they all have the same instruments. It's all like an orchestra in every alien world. So he definitely wanted to make it so that this movie sounded different. He wanted it to sound alien. He wanted it to sound like, yeah, this is something that could exist like 20,000 years in the future, on like after humans like split into different planets and had multiple different cultures. Then it's going to sound different. So there's a lot of like vocal things that are going on too that he was using. How's the use of blood? There's definitely going to be blood in this movie. It seems like there's definitely going to be blood. There's also like a quick shot that we got from the trailer of like Jessica. She had on all these face tattoos and it looked weird. I'm not sure what the face tattoos were. Someone says, do the worms look better in the 80s movie? No. The worm, what we saw of the worm in this movie, like it blows every other version out of the water, out of the desert. Someone says, I know you only saw the first 10 minutes, but how did you see the actors' performances? So it was more like 18 minutes. We saw like the first 10 minutes, and then it showed us the spice harvester scene. So it was like about 20 minutes of actual movie. Everyone, like I said earlier, fell into their role. Like immediately, like if I had to pick two that I'm the most impressed by based off of what I saw just then, it has to be Zendaya as Chani. Like I don't even know what the other Chani's look like anymore. like Zendaya is Chani. Like she ate that role from what I saw. She absolutely ate that role. And then Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto, he devoured that role. And everyone else is fantastic. Sharon Duncan Brewster as Leia Kynes is absolutely fine. And I think her look is very interesting too. So she, and pretty much all the lines in the Thopter scene that they showed us were exactly like the book, taken straight out of the book. The opening is different from the book, but it's like it's all book accurate material, you know what I mean? But it's just like different, it's more like cinematic, basically. But all the dialogue in the Thopter scene was exactly like the book, pretty much. And another super chat. Hey Quinn, it's nice meeting you today at the Metreon. Looking forward to talking to you more over the Dune Discord when you join. Hello, it was very nice meeting. It was very nice meeting everyone that showed up. Like people were saying hi to me, and that was like super awesome. So if I show up in public and I tweet out or something that I'm gonna be there, definitely like walk up to me and say hi. I'll never like be a jerk to you. And also, if you guys aren't following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter because I'm always like tweeting about things. Okay, a few more super chats. Could you mention the elements of humor in the second trailer? Smile gurney when Duncan talks about Paul's muscles. Okay, yeah, there was a really funny part in the trailer, an interaction between Duncan Idaho and Paul Atreides. And I think it was meant to, all these moments are meant to like establish the relationship between Paul and Duncan. So basically Paul goes like, well, Duncan says to Paul, I think it's Duncan, he's coming back from Arrakis. And then Paul, he says something to Paul like, "Oh, you're putting on some muscle, aren't you?" And Paul goes, "Really?" And he goes, "No." He just goes, "No," because like Paul is small for his age in the book, so it's perfectly canonically accurate. Oh yeah, and the smile Gurney part, like there he says Duke Leto says to Gurney, "Smile, Gurney," when the envoy is coming down, and Gurney goes, "I am smiling," but he's like definitely not smiling. So there's definitely some humor in this movie. Like Frank Herbert doesn't tend to do humor as much, but there's definitely some humor in this movie for sure. Okay, how many tattoos? Jessica's tattoos may be the water of life scene. That's exactly what I thought. It seems like Paul and Jessica are going to spend some months in the desert some months at least before this movie ends, because both Paul and Jessica's eyes are blue within blue at some point in the trailer. And it takes a long time on Arrakis for that to happen. So before this movie ends, they're on Arrakis. They're going to be in the desert for a while, which makes me very, 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 very excited. Let's see. Thank you so much, Paula Braggers. Like, I'm so sorry I just butchered your name like that. In a best case scenario, do you think this level of visual effects and aesthetic could work for a God Emperor movie in the future? Anything is possible at this point, because I didn't think as good as I thought. I don't know what I thought. As good as I thought this movie was going to be, I didn't like put any images into my mind as to what I was going to see, as to what it was going to look like. And it really just like, when I was watching it, and especially those Caladan moments were just like so beautiful and just like so grand and epic. And also the Dune moments were awesome and epic too. But there was something about that Caladan scene in the beginning that was just so beautiful, and the aesthetic of it was just so gorgeous, that just really captured me, and it's just really just stayed with me the entire. Like I keep thinking about that scene. I keep seeing it. I keep seeing that scene. Thank you. So you were there. Hello. It was nice meeting you. It was amazing meeting you in the theater. I was the Chinese girl with the cat ears. Yeah, I figured that out. It was nice meeting you. It was really, really nice meeting you. Sorry we couldn't get lunch. I had to run home and get to recording, get to making the live stream. But it was definitely great meeting you, and everyone else that showed up. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Are you going to be picking up the first issue of The Blood of the Sardaukar from Boom Studios? It comes out on July 28th. I definitely will. All things Dune, I'm going to be consuming at this point, because like at this point, like this trailer has restored my hype. Like, not that my hype ever really waned, but like I remember the feeling that I had like right after that first trailer came out back in whenever that was, November or whenever. Like I feel like that again, but like just 10 times better, because I've seen the opening to the movie, and I've seen the tone of the movie, and I've seen how they're handling the material, and it's in good hands. It's in good hands. So it's like I feel safe at this point. Like I know I'm not going to go into the theater and like hate everything. I feel safe. Thank you so much, Marguerite Hill, for your super sticker. So nice of you. So nice of you. So it was cool because like we thought they were going to show, everyone in the theater, I think, was thinking that when they were showing the Atreides and the ship was landing, that we were going to see the Emperor come out, but it was just the Emperor's envoy. So here's my theory. Because based on the way the envoy looked, I think that the Imperial House is they're probably gonna cast Black people to play the Imperial House. I think they will, which just adds a little bit of diversity to it. You know, why can't Black people be the royal house? You know, whatever. It's fine. It is fine. It is fine. Do not freak out. But I think that's what they're gonna do, which is cool. You know, because that means that I have a chance of playing. What's his name? What's oh god, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. The cousin in Children of Dune. What's his name, guys? You guys know this. I could play him if the Imperial House is Black. If the Carinos are Black, then I could play that guy. I'm just trying to figure out what role I can get. Okay. Oh, I missed a super chat. Someone said, "Will this Dune give me a Dune boner like Shia the Sandworm?" Absolutely. I think it will. I think everyone got one. Hawk Aladar, that guy, whose real name is Faradin. Yeah, I can't believe I blanked on his name. It is pretty late, though. Yeah. Yeah, I can be Faradin. I'd be fine being Faradin. Like, Denis Villeneuve. I'll be Faradin. Come on. So yeah, I mean, just but like I said, this movie it just feels like everyone cares. You know what I mean? It just feels like from every it's not cheap. It's not thrown together. It's put together with so much care and attention and love. It's like you can tell like pretty much usually I don't know about you, but like if I turn on a movie on like Netflix or whatever, within the first 10 minutes, basically you can tell if how much care and dedication has been put into the film. Within the first 2 minutes, you can pretty much tell. And like it's so true with this. This is not just like a throwaway sci-fi movie. This movie will be an Oscar contender. If visual effects and cinematography alone, like it's gonna win awards, like period. Like this is like, uh, I mean, it's more than I could have ever expected. And I'm not like any time like I've read anyone being excited, I've taken it with a grain of salt. But now that I've seen it for myself, I mean, it's as good as everyone's been saying. All the insiders that have seen the movie and said that it's like really freaking good. It's really that good, and it's just like I can't wait to see the whole thing. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes long. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes long. Glad you enjoyed it. Can't wait to see it myself. Been a long wait for this. It indeed has. It's been a long wait, guys. But October 22nd is coming up. Some of you in other countries will get it sooner. Oh, and I'm so jealous. Like if I had a passport, I'd be out of here. I'd be like to the first country that's showing it the soonest. I'd be there. I'd be there. But unfortunately, America's tripping. They did show a Highliner in this, and they showed like a bunch of like ships leaving the Highliner. It was like huge. It was so it was like it looked like a bunch of the art that I've seen. It was like a long cylinder, like blackish gray circular, and it kind of like looked like it had like this hollow part at the tip, and you saw all these ships just coming out of it. Like oh my god, the set design. I mean, it's funny that you say set design because it doesn't even nothing about this movie says set to me. Like when they're on Caladan, you're on another planet. When they're on Dune, they're on another planet. It's just like great. And like the architecture of the world Caladan, when Oscar Isaac described it as brutalist more than a year ago, and people were like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's exactly the type of architecture that I think would describe a lot of the architecture in this movie. It's brutalist. It's very like edge grand. Yeah. And the Harkonnen, I would say the Harkonnen designs are very like tentacle like the Harkonnen. I think they were the spice harvesters, huge spice harvesters. They were like these giant octopod things, like huge circular with like giant just like tentacle arm things like for collecting spice. They looked creepy. Like they looked creepy. Everything about the Harkonnens looked creepy. And in the movie we definitely got a close-up shot of the beast Raban. He looks terrifying. Okay, James Carr, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much, my friend. Wow. Wow. So yeah, it just looked just like so cool. So freaking cool. Like I'm just trying to, anybody got any more questions? Because I'm sure I can answer. I'll try to answer anything that anybody has, rather than just like what do you think about the teeth of the sandworms? They're long in the trailers, but I think they're supposed to be Chris knives as well. Well, I'm thinking that the worm that we see in the movie is huge. So I'm thinking that maybe like, because you look at a worm like that and you think, how did the Fremen even get a Chris knife? So maybe they take them from smaller worms, or maybe they like find a dead worm and like just carve it down, you know? There's tons of ways to do it. How cool does it look? Cool as crap. Release date, October 22nd. Does Raban speak? Not in the first 10 minutes that we saw. The costumes don't even like seem to be costumes. But like, let me go more in depth in that. Like, okay, because that is a good question. So Jessica is like all about the robes. It seems like she's still like that Bene Gesserit style. But the actual Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother that we do see in the movie is like wearing like all black robes, and it kind of covers her face. Very, very similar to what Gaius Helen Mohayim wore in the trailer. Just black lace type stuff. and we saw guild navigators, but not the full-on guild navigators. We saw proto-guild navigators. And if you read like I have it over here. If you've read Navigators of Dune, then you know what I'm talking about. So there's like guildsmen that before they become full-on navigators, they're like in like suits and they're like inhaling spice. So they're there and their suits like look really weird, really interesting. Oh, whoops. At first, yeah, so their suits like look really weird and really interesting, and it's like you can tell they're like they're in the process of becoming full-on navigators. The Sardaukar looked, well, we saw the Sardaukar in the trailer. What did we didn't see the Sardaukar in this, I don't think. All the armor in the movie has a similar vibe to it, I would say, except for one thing. We've basically seen the way the armor looked in like all the previews and stuff. That's basically what we saw. But we also get, I can't believe I didn't mention this. We also get in the trailer a quick look at what I think are the Fade-Akin. The freaking Fade-Akin. So like you see Paul Atreides and he's in this, you see these soldiers all fighting in like these gold looking suits. And then like the visor goes down and it's freaking Paul with blue eyes. So you see like the Fade-Akin soldiers and they've got this awesome like metallic looking golden armor. And it's just like, what in the... It just looks so good. It just looks so cool. Someone says, this is a little premature, but I want to know if maybe there could be an extended version upon Blu-ray release. I mean, I'm always down for an extended version of Dune. Always down. I'm always down. It's always. What about the Weirding Way? They showed a little bit of a hint of the Weirding Way in the trailer, like I mentioned before. Like there's an exchange between Jessica and Duke Leto where he says, promise me you'll protect Paul. And she says, I will protect him with my life. And the trailer cuts real quick to her like getting Stilgar with the Weirding Way. It doesn't like show it, but you know that's what it is. So it's going to be a part of it, I'm pretty sure. But the only Bene Gesserit powers that they showed us explicitly in this was the power of voice. But like I said, we did get some very, very subtle interactions that weren't even interactions really between the Reverend Mother that shows up on Caladan with the Emperor's Envoy and Jessica. So what I think was actually going on there is I think that the Bene Gesserit woman that came, she's like looking at Jessica and she's saying, oh, that's you. You're Bene Gesserit. Yeah, we know about you. And then she's looking at Paul and she's saying, he's not a girl. Wait a second. What the fuck? We told you. So like we know, like even it doesn't like even like directly indicate that they're like looking at each other or exchanging information, but it's obvious at the same time that it's happening just by the twitch of an eye or the way she's looking. Like it's just like it's so cool. And you just know that sister is going to go right and report to the sisterhood. She's going to go right to report. And I bet the scene right after that was probably like when the other Reverend Mother comes. It was probably that night. It's probably I bet that right after that scene, it's later that night that Gaius Helen Mohayim comes. Yeah. So that just like, oh, it's so cool. Okay. Does it look how you imagine when you read the book? That's so hard to, well, kind of yes and no. Yes and no, because it's like it's certain things, but then other things just look like so alien and different that it's like I don't even know if I have the level of imagination to do it. You know what I mean? But it captures the feeling of the book entirely, I would say. Like I said, there's no way that from now on anyone's gonna think of anything else as Dune other than this. Someone says, first time I've sent a super chat. Thank you so much. I'm going to watch the movie in theater. Damn you, Denny. Yeah, I mean, he's really done it. Like, he's really done it. And it's just like, I'm telling you, not a single person in that theater was disappointed. Like, there was an audible, oh, from the crowd when the film stopped. Like, when it stopped showing, it was just because, like, immediately you're hooked. The theater's dead quiet. Immediately you're hooked. How was the voice? Was it done like in the book? Essentially like in the book, from the little bit of we saw of it. And I talked about it a couple times in the stream already. Like it just goes kind of quiet and then you don't hear anything. And then it's almost like the sound is within Jessica's head. And you hear like the same words that Paul said to her twist and bend in her own mind weirdly. And the best thing about it, like I said, was that it feels not like magic. Strangely, it feels like something stranger. I don't even know how. It's something about the combination of the sound design and the way it was acted that just made it feel not at all like the Force. You know what I mean? Not at all like some magic. It just, I don't know. How do things compare to the other Dune movies series on film? I think that this version of Dune is going to blow every other version of Dune out of the park. Jodorowsky's Dune never got made, and it wouldn't have really been Dune anyway, so that's not really Dune. But David Lynch's Dune doesn't stand a chance. I mean, you can love that movie and be a fan of that movie, but David Lynch's Dune is not going to stand a chance against this. There's no this will be the version of Dune that exists. Yeah, this is and like I said, this is a new era, I think, for sci-fi in general. I think from this point forward, there's going to be so many things that we're going to see that look like this, that have this atmosphere, that have, and God, and this is like in 10 minutes, the universe is huge. In 10 minutes, you like and you really only see 2 planets in 10 minutes, but like you understand how like it's. I feel like it'll be super easy for someone that's never read the book to just go into this and just experience an amazing movie. It'll be a smart movie. You'll have to pay attention, but it's not something that Denis Villeneuve is not like overweighing us with a bunch of exposition. From what I saw, he's not throwing a bunch at you so fast that you can't take it all in. There's a lot that's being presented on the screen. Like a lot of, like, if you're a fan of the books, you're going to see so much. You're going to see like the bull statue, and you're going to see the Duke painting hanging up, and you're going to spot the Duke Leto's ducal ring, and you're going to spot a lot of things because it's very, very book accurate. But it's not just like overwhelming for anyone, I think, that doesn't know anything about Dune. I think they're just going to be seeing a brilliant movie. Just tell me doesn't treat me like an idiot. This movie is far from it. Like I said, like the subtlety that was employed, just like in the little bit of it that I saw, was just like, please, because subtlety is something that's like lost on so many things, like Game of Thrones. Like, God, oh my God. Like they had no idea what the word subtlety meant in that show. But it's something that Denis Villeneuve understands. Do you really see Jason Momoa as a good Duncan, as the aristocrat side of Duncan, especially if they go beyond the first book? If so, why? I see Jason Momoa as good for the role that he is playing in this film. It's a more like carefree side of Duncan. But as far as like Jason Momoa portraying the later Duncans, I don't know. I've seen Jason Momoa in only a few other things. He was good in Game of Thrones for what it was, and I've seen the Apple TV show See, and he's pretty good in that. So I don't think there'll be a problem with him portraying Duncan Idaho in the future. I don't think he's a bad actor. I don't really see that. I don't think he's a bad actor. I feel like people like kind of like brush him off, like, oh, he can't really act and he's just a meathead. I don't think that's necessarily true. Max Ohm says, I'm late. What's the verdict? The verdict is that it's what I tweeted. Like I said, if you're not following me on Twitter, then please follow me on Twitter. I will post the link. But I think that pretty much this is about to be, here you go. If you're not following me on Twitter, there's the link in the chat. I think that Dune, this version, it's pretty much set up to be the best science fiction film that's been released in decades. Because and I'll tell you why. It's not just because I'll tell you why. It's because Dune has never been done right. It's never been done with the level of like spiritual, I can't believe I'm saying this, but spiritual clarity that Denis Villeneuve is doing this with. It opens up on such like, I just know it's so moving, and it's just a little sequence. it's like you immediately relate to the struggle of the Fremen and understand that these people need to be like that these people are fighting for their independence. And like it's something that like is relatable globally, I think. um uh, yeah, but like I said, I think this is going to be one of the best science fiction movies that's ever been made. And I'm not just saying that because I love Dune so much. It's Dune's story, it's Denis Villeneuve's directing, it's the cinematography, and it is also it's the music, um it's the music, and it's the aesthetic, it's the scale. Like we knew from Blade Runner that Denis Villeneuve loves to these big giant scopes, these big giant grand things, and that's like taken to the max in this movie, to the point where you've never seen anything like this.
So Quinn, I've had to pop in and make a comment because I'm listening to you in the other room. Of course, that's what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk a lot about Dune, the book, being really important to think about. Questioning the savior trope, questioning the idea that Paul's the hero, or let's say maybe he's the hero of the first act, but then what happens next? They deal with that theme in God Emperor. You were saying that the movie opens with the Fremen,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just talking about the spiritual tone.
Yeah,
It really seems like they're set up to hammer that perspective home in a way that the Lynch movie missed.
What? Yeah. The Fremen are the Fremen are characters. That's important. It starts off with the Fremen, and it's like the way, like I said, Zendaya's doing a voiceover, and the way she talks about the planet, she talks about how beautiful it is, and she talks about how she loves it. Right. So you really see like how there is this deep connection between the Fremen and Arrakis that's deep rooted because they've been here for many generations, and this is their home, this is their planet that's being invaded by the Imperium because they have a resource that is valuable to the Imperium.
Yeah, so even when they like flood the planet, that's going to mean more because they're losing the desert when they do that. So
everybody knows that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I'm excited. I'm just wanted to come in and say that and just how pumped I am too.
Yeah. I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to stop the cam for a quick second. I'm still here, though. Let me get this super chat. Just started reading the first book, and I was so happy about the rapier to the forehead greeting that was in the trailer, but not the old movie. Exactly. It's so wonderful. Like I said, the details that Denis Villeneuve is employing in these movies is just like phenomenal. You can tell like these are not people that just like, this is not a studio that just hired a director that hasn't read the book. This is Denis Villeneuve creating a project that he's dreamed about his entire life.
Yeah, because when you're adapting a book, it's not that you have to get all the lines. It's just that you want to see the writers drawing from the best lines there are to work with. Early season Game of Thrones, we would hear lines from the books and be like, oh, that's such a great line. I'm glad they used that. And then obviously it went away from that. So it sounds like they're doing that here.
Yeah. And the opening is different. Like I was wondering, I'm sitting in the theater and I'm wondering, is it going to start with the Princess Irlang? A beginning is the time we're taking the most delicate care that the balances are correct. This every sister the Bene Gesserit knows. It did not start with that. It started with Zendaya. So it's like, rather than having, it was a very interesting choice. Rather than having a voice that really speaks for the Imperium, the royal house, House Carino, the movie opens up with a voice that speaks for the Fremen, the true people of Arrakis. So, and I just thought that was just like such a brilliant move. And someone says, you mentioned the tentacles for the Harkonnens. They're hinting at Jodorowsky's H.R. Giger's influence. And look, love your channel and enthusiasm. Thank you for helping me spread. Okay, yeah, I could see some Giger influence for sure. I'd have to see more to be 100% convinced, but yeah, I wouldn't doubt it if there was some Giger influence. Definitely. But like I said, the ships. Someone said, you guys don't want to know what he meant by flood the planet. That's later books. We don't need to talk about that. If you want to know about all that, check out my Ultimate Guide to Children of Dune thing. That's a later thing. That is later book Dune. That's late stage Dune. For now, we just need to worry about Arrakis being a desert, right? You don't need to know about that. That's later. Do you see Javier Bardem at all? How does he? Oh God, Why didn't I talk about him? We don't see him. I don't think we see him in those first 10 minutes very much, if at all. But like we see him in a lot of like the little clips they showed and in the trailer. And that guy is Stilgar. That guy fits the role of Stilgar like a glove. That guy fits the role of Stilgar like a glove. And that's what's so just makes me happy, because the casting is so good. You can tell that like it took people that understood these characters to cast it this well. And if they understood the characters this well, then they understood the story probably. So if you understand the characters and the story and you have money and you're willing to make it into something, then it turns out like this. Someone says, just join. What's the overall best movie ever? There we go. Someone says, Jodorowsky is pretentious, but yes, Holy Mountain is pretty good. A lot of good directors are pretentious. Yes, Jodorowsky has a lot of great works. I think The Inkle is really good, and The Meta Barons is a great graphic novel. Both of those, I really admire his graphic novel work. No Tleilaxu. We didn't see anything from the Tleilaxu. Like I was hoping, like a little bit, say something about Ix, but maybe still later. We could still. There's so much in Dune that it's like they can't do everything. But maybe later we'll see something about Ix. The score was amazing. There was a whole behind the scenes section where Denis Villeneuve himself interviews Hans Zimmer, and they're talking about their process in creating the sound design and the score for this movie. Thank you so much, Wraith X959, for your super chat. They're talking about designing the score for this movie, and I've mentioned this a bunch of times in the stream, but like it's an incredible fact. Hans Zimmer went in on this score. He went in on this sound design. He designed new instruments specifically for this movie. So apparently Hans Zimmer was going to do the score for Tenet, but he said no to Christopher Nolan for the first time ever so he could do this, because in the same way that directing Dune and making Dune into a movie was Denis Villeneuve's dream for years and years, it was Hans Zimmer's dream to make the score for this movie. So you've got two incredibly talented, creative people. You get magic. You get magic when you take talent and you take care and you take creative people and you mix them all together. Then it really forms something magical. And I feel like I'm just like hyping. I sound like I don't even know. I feel like I'm doing my best not to overhype this, but I'm probably doing a bad job. But I just want you guys to know, and I want you guys to be confident that from what I saw, this is not half-assed. This is good. This is very good. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for October 22nd. If I can see it sooner than October 22nd some way, then like I will do whatever I have to do to go see it. But if I have to go to another country, then it's probably not going to happen. So, but like, hey, I will fly to another state to see Dune. If I gotta, I will. All right. Any more questions, guys? Any more questions? You got any more questions about like that you want to ask me about like what I saw? Like just to reiterate, they showed us about 18 minutes of the movie, and they showed us about like 15 minutes of like behind the scenes footage with Denis Villeneuve and all the actors and the directors and like the sets and stuff and how they designed the score, and like they showed us a bunch. Is there any photosensitive epilepsy warning? No. No Tleilaxu, I mean. The Atreides armor, from what I saw, I can't describe it exactly. It looked really good. Similar to the Sardaukar armor, I want to say. Not too different. What about a sequel? I will say that this movie opened up by saying Dune Part 1. It's like clear. Dune Part 1. So like they're being clear that they intend to make a sequel. Shame Frank couldn't see this, someone says. Thank you for your super chat. But it sounds like it's going to be amazing. Oh my God, it's going to be so great. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes. That is right. It is. Did they show shields and laser guns? They actually did in the trailer. There was some. I think there was some shield and laser gun shenanigans going on in the trailer. It all went by really quick, but in the trailer, I think there was a lot of action moments that they showed in the trailer. There's going to be some the movie opens up with some pretty intense action sequences, but they kind of happen fast, and it's not like It's not cheap. I don't want to say action sequence like, oh, it's like an action movie now. No, it's not like that. It's like more like it's like action, but it's like epic on like a crazy scale, and it's just like a little bit in the beginning, just like showing you just like a tease of it. But it's like, oh my god, it's tense. It's nail biting. It's nail biting. Did it leave me breathless? Yes. Those were guild navigators on Caladan, right? I assumed that those guys that were in the helmets, where it looked like they had like some kind of orange gas, I assumed that was spice, and I assumed those were proto guild navigators. So the people that are on their way to becoming full guild navigators. Okay, so the trailer is apparently coming out tomorrow on YouTube for everybody, and then I can like break down the trailer and go to it bit by bit and see if I see all the Easter eggs that I can find. But it seems like just from the beginning of this, they're setting up so much. They're setting up like Paul and his connection with Chani, and they're setting up Paul's relationship with his mother. They're setting up Paul's relationship with his dad. We know who Thufir Hawat is. We just like it's giving you so much, and it's just like incredibly good job, incredibly well made, incredibly well made. Is it difficult being this huge of a nerd? It ain't easy being a nerd. It's never been easy. It's never been easy. It's never been easy. The Baron, we did not see the Baron in the first 10 minutes, but we got a look at him in the trailer, and we also got to hear a bit of his voice in the trailer. His voice is terrifying. He's talking about how he wants to kill them all, and how Arrakis is his. He's really just like Arrakis is mine. Oh, yeah. It also says in this movie, and I'm pretty sure this isn't true. I don't know if this is established in the canon, but in the movie, the Harkonnens are actually richer than the Emperor. They're actually richer than the Imperial House. It says that spice has allowed them to become richer than the Imperial House. I don't think that is explicitly stated in the book. I know they're very rich. They spend a lot of money on the raid against House Atreides, but like I don't know if did the Baron float like in David Lynch's movie? Okay. Did the Baron float? Yes. Like in David Lynch's movie? No. He's got on this long sheet thing, and it's kind of like floating. So it's like it's creepy as hell. It's not like the goofy, silly David Lynch, like floating around in the sky. It's like he's sinisterly hovering, and it's like, oh my god, so creepy, so creepy. Yeah, but yeah, I had the best time of my life today in San Francisco, seeing all this new Dune footage. I'm over the moon right now. It was such a good experience. Everyone that showed up, all of my subscribers that showed up and said hi, thank you guys so much for saying hi. You guys made my day. I took a few pictures with some people, so just hi to everyone. And if I didn't see you, then hi. Yes. Yeah, Thufir did calculate like some. I forget exactly, but like right in the beginning, when House Atreides is like all standing there, you see Thufir calculate something, and his eyes like go white, totally white for a second, and he's like making a calculation. Like, did you see the eyes blue within blue? Oh, 100%, and they look so good. They look so good because let's be honest, the blue within blue eyes in every other Dune movie have looked like shit. And then sometimes you'll look at the characters in the David Lynch one or the miniseries, and they won't even be blue within blue, and it's like, what is this? But like here, God, it's so well done. That's why I feel like it's such a great time to be alive, because it's like CGI is like the best it's ever been, and it's like Denis Villeneuve is alive, and he wants to direct it. Is PG-13 well fitted? It seems like it'll fit. I still think this movie could have gone with an R. But I think you can do some pretty good stuff on PG-13. I'm sure it'll be fine on PG-13. It will be fine. Lady Jessica, yeah. So we did have a Lady Jessica and Paul scene by themselves, and then also Lady Jessica was present when House Atreides meets the envoy from the Emperor, and she's just kind of like having a weird pseudo exchange with the Reverend Mother that arrives with the Emperor's envoy. And you can tell there's some I'm a Bene Gesserit, you're a Bene Gesserit, and they're both doing calculations in their mind. And then, like we talked about before, she has a scene with Paul where they're eating breakfast and she's training him on how to do the voice. And that was really good. We didn't see any blood really too much in the first 10 minutes. We did see some people get exploded. We did see some pretty just brutal, like just violence, but no blood really. Not yet. Blood on blades. Yeah, there was some blood on blades happening. The sandworm sound. Oh my God. See that, like the sound that when the sandworm comes, it is so scary. Like I don't need. I'm so excited for this. Is why Denis Villeneuve said the movie needs to be seen in theaters, at least the first time, because I want everyone to be able to experience how epic it feels. It feels like the entire theater is about to be swallowed by the desert. It's so huge. It's so big. You see them like running, and the thing is coming, and the ground is falling in, and like it looks like Paul almost falls in it at some point. It's just like get up and run, and he can barely get out of the sand because as he's moving, it's like falling in. It's like falling in as he's trying to get out of the sand. And it's like run. Oh God. Because like what happens in the scene is Paul gets kind of confused because he steps out and like spice is being harvested. So spice is blowing everywhere. And Paul is an Atreides, not just any Atreides, is the potential Kwisatz Haderach. So when Spice has a special interaction with him, and so it's like it's his first time ingesting spice, and it's awakening him, and he's very, very confused. So he has to be saved by Gurney Halleck, and then they start running. A worm is coming, and then they get up, and then you just see the thing, just and the hugeness of it just come out, just like in the book, and you just see the mouth come up just a little bit out of the sand and just like takes the crawler down in with it. And they do all the stuff. The dialogue is very, very similar to in the book when they're inside of the ornithopter with Leia Kine. She's like explaining like how shields drive the worms into like a maddening frenzy. And then Duke Leto spots the worm just like in the book, and Gurney is there just like in the book, and it's just so similar. And then like as they're taking off, as the worm is consuming the crawler. And another thing about how the movie is not shying away from the Fremen culture, like the dumb David Lynch movie. Like as the worm is swallowing the crawler, you have Leia Kine, she's standing there, and she's saying, "Bless the maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world," just like in the book. Like I just like died. I'm like, yes, that's what we need. We need to know that these people are real people, and they're not just like people dressed up in leather in the desert. This is a real culture. This is a real society. These are real people. Okay, Akama's. I'm not trying to shit on David Lynch. I'm just saying David Lynch's Dune failed in a lot of key places, and one of those key places was the establishment of the Fremen as an independent culture, separate from, House Atreides and all them. How was Hans Zimmer's music? As I said, just epic and different and new. Leia Kynes is a woman. Leia Kynes is a woman in this, but it doesn't affect anything really. It doesn't affect anything. And they didn't show this yet, but I'm pretty sure that the Leia Kynes being a woman is just meant to give, just so that the relationship between Chani and her can be more defined, because she will be the mother. And there's a very specific thing between like mothers and daughters. It's like a theme of Dune, like the mother and daughter thing. So I understand why there's a connection, why they did that. Because in the book, there's no connection between Leia Kynes and Chani. Like he is her father, but they also never have a single interaction. So like I think that if you're trying to create characters that are interesting, it makes sense. And also, like, if honestly everyone in the crawler is like a white guy, I mean, it's fine. Leia Kynes, and she looks cool. She looks so cool with like those dreads and the blue eyes and her just like dark skin. It just looks cool as heck. It looks cool as heck. I mean, don't knock it. Don't knock it just because you think it's like some SJW thing. Like that's just such a cop out, in my opinion. The movie is like this movie is too good. This movie is absolutely too good to not see because of a dumb reason like that. This movie is absolutely too good to not see because of a dumb reason like that. And since you're all here, if you would like the stream, that would really, really help out, because with the YouTube algorithm and such. So if you've been enjoying hearing me talk about the movie, and what I saw. Please, 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 please hit the thumbs up. It like really, really helps with the algorithm recommending my videos and stuff like that. So hit the like button, guys, and thank you so much for doing that. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, I trust in Villeneuve. We saw some bits of Dr. Yui. We saw some bits of Dr. Yui for sure. Not much, just like a little bit in the trailer and like a little bit in the previews that they were showing us. I think that like my thing is if Villeneuve changes a character, he had a reason for changing that character. Nothing that Villeneuve is doing in this movie is coincidental or accidental. He's doing it for a reason. This is a movie where everything is in place. This is the type of film where everything is in its place for a reason, and it's specific for a reason. Did they give an age for Paul? I assume he's going to be 15 like in the book, but they didn't say what his specific age was. We get a little bit, we get some bits of Duncan Idaho. Yeah, like I said, Duncan Idaho, there he's being portrayed as more like friendly and carefree. What they're doing is building on the relationship between Paul and Duncan, because they're thinking about what happens later in this movie, and I think they're thinking about potentially future movies. So they need to explain why Paul loved Duncan so much. So like I think it's good. I think where they're taking Duncan is good. Where they're taking Duncan is good. And like I said, this movie is from what I've seen, everything's in the right place. Everything's in the right place. Unless it takes like a crazy switcheroo turn at some point and it's like totally strange and different, then like otherwise I am not afraid, and I am so ready. And I know that October 22nd, I hope that I can live to October 22nd so that I can see Dune. Lots of voiceover. Actually, not much voiceover. There's a Chani voiceover in the beginning where she's just talking about the Fremen and the Harkonnens, and she's wondering who will now come to their planet. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The opening is beautiful. Can I just say that? Like it opens up like you just see the dunes just blowing, and you hear Zendaya's voice, and she's talking about the planet and the beauty of the planet, and you just really feel that there's a deep connection between the Fremen and Arrakis because they've been here for many, many generations, and this is their home, and they're just really connected to this world. And the Harkonnens are evil incarnate basically. Any shout out mates? No, we didn't get that far. So no shout out mates just yet. So yeah, the opening was just stunning. The opening was stunning. Like I feel like anyone, regardless of who you are, like if you watch this opening, you're gonna like it. So, oh my God. I know I've got to wait like an extra month in the United. It's crazy. Like it's funny because like it used to be that everything would come out earlier in the United States. Now we're not the biggest movie market really anymore. So it's all about like Europe and China at this point. Americans don't see movies like they used to. Any Irulan quotes? Nothing from Irulan. Nothing from Irulan. We saw nothing at all from Irulan. No, Paul Atreides is a male. Paul Atreides is a male. We see a representative of House Carino. We do not see any official members of House Carino. We do not see the space jump effect. We do not see it in what we saw. And what they showed us, we did not see the space folding effect, though we did see the highliners. Yeah, I agree. The grand scale is very important to get this book across. Thomas Schulman says, you're doing great work. Thank you for spreading the word about Dune. And thank you so much. And thanks everyone that's watching the stream and that's here. Thank you guys so much. Okay. Who would win between you and Come Up Girl 19 and Dune trivia? I don't know. She's the OG, so like I'm sure she would. I'm sure she's got the supreme Dune knowledge, I'm sure. Like I yield to come up to Danica for sure. Do you think they'll deviate from somewhat from the patriarchal overtones of the Fremen? Honestly, it looked like Chani in the beginning might have been a leader, honestly. It looked like she might have been like leading whatever was happening. I'm not too sure. They were like watching the Harkonnens, and then they like attack them. But like Chani is not in the background at all. Like so, and you know the Fremen are ultimately, I think, a utilitarian. So I mean, if she's a badass, she's a badass. Someone says that the Duke and Paul have a heart-to-heart before leaving their home planet. I'm sure they will, but we weren't shown that part of the movie. But we saw a minor interaction between Paul and the Duke, but not much. Not much. The Fremen felt very organic. It's just like the Fremen were immediately the Fremen, and like the blood is something about like the way the eyes of Ibad are done in this movie too. It's just like brilliant. Their skin and the desert sands and their robes and the way their eyes are they're just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Like that's the only way I can describe this movie. Like, okay, if I can describe it in 5 words, I'll give you 5 words. Okay. Beautiful, epic, giant, grand. I know those basically mean the same thing, but I really need to get that across. And just like jaw-dropping. Like everyone that said good things about the look of this movie and the feeling of this movie has been right, and they haven't been embellishing. They've been right. They've been right. What a pleasant surprise to find the stream. Was there a light filter on the footage to separate space, Caladan and Dune, like to establish mood? I'm pretty sure there was. Caladan definitely felt more vibrant than Dune, and then the little bits of space that we saw, just like it felt like you're just in space because the IMAX screen is so big, and like you just see the planet, and it's just like, oh my god. I don't know about a filter though, but yeah, it all looked really good. Anything bad or worrying? Like I'm racking my brain, but I can't really think of anything. I can't think of anything. It seems like the changes that they changed the way the beginning unfolds, but every single way they changed it had a perfectly legitimate reason to establish characters, to establish setting. All of it was legitimate. All of it was smooth. None of it was jarring. None of it felt like giving me too much at once. It all was smooth. And it's just like, I'm excited. I like, guys, honestly, I just want to say this. I am so happy that I can give, just from seeing 10 minutes, I'm so happy that I can say good things about this, because it would have killed me to have to come on here and be like, I don't like it. It would have killed me to have to come on here and be like, oh, that was a bad decision, and this doesn't look right, and why'd they do that, and that's inaccurate. It would have killed me to have to do that. But like from what I saw, I don't have to do that. All right, guys. So I think I'm getting ready to go pretty soon. I hope everyone's excited. The trailer is coming out tomorrow. I think it's coming out tomorrow. So that's just several hours away. Who knows when they're going to drop it? They'll probably drop it around, like, knowing them, like 6 a.m. California time, probably. Who knows? But yeah, the trailer's dropping tomorrow, apparently. And yeah, here's the poster that I got. Here's the poster that I got. Freaking sick. Dune, filmed for IMAX. And that's part of the reason that, you know, Denis Villeneuve was like, so like, no, this movie needs to be in theater, because it was filmed for IMAX. It was made to be seen on an IMAX screen. It's you got to see it in IMAX. If you can't see it in IMAX, you got to at least see it in theater. You got to at least see it in theater if you can't see it in IMAX. But like, if you can get an IMAX ticket and you can see it in IMAX, please do, because the experience will be worth it, because it's like it's something like you've never seen, and it's just good. It's just good. Everyone cared. The costume designers cared, the cinematographer cared, the director cared, the writers cared, the actors cared, and I could be more happy. But I think I'm gonna let you guys go now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be posting about the trailer tomorrow. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for your super sticker, and peace out, guys. Make sure you check out all my content also, if you don't know, for Dune lore. How long was the trailer? I want to say it was about like almost 3 minutes long. Almost 3 minutes long. Yeah. And then we saw about like 18 minutes of the movie total, if you count the opening and the spice harvester scene. And then a bunch of other like extra footage that was like also a part of the movie. Like a lot of like they were in the desert. Like the robes look awesome. The robes, like all the Fremen robes and what they wear. Like I hated in like other films, like the Fremen never wore robes. Like they're just like in the naked still system. Like what? The Fremen also wear robes. Like what's the deal? I like the robes. All right. Thanks, guys. If you've enjoyed watching, hit the like button before you leave. It really helps out the channel and it's super easy to do. But peace out, guys. I love you all. Thank you so much. And I'll be here later on to talk with you about the trailer once I can actually show actual footage of the trailer without getting my channel deleted. Peace out, guys.